Did you guys watch Monday Night Raw?
Yes.
Right. So let's go over this show. Very entertaining show, I thought.
They hit
what was the number?
1.793 million.
Was that up from last week? Because last week was down, I think.
Here comes your quarters. It was up 7%. Last week was 1.669. Yeah.
Let me ask you, Disco, do you think that the Olympics, which will be on the same day as Dynamite and Raw and everything else, will they hurt their numbers?
I don't know. Because here's what,
it isn't as popular as it used to be.
I don't know. Okay, because this is for me. Okay, and I think based on my history of but actually the both of us. Okay, our show reviews. If you look at the 7-year history of us reviewing shows on this thing, I'd say within a pretty good degree of accuracy, our like for the shows have showed in the numbers. Like, we like shows that do well in the numbers and have basically not liked the shows that don't do well in the numbers and the trends and stuff. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
I think we've been pretty spot on, right? And the reason I think that is because you and I are both, we're in the target market of people that like things besides wrestling. We like things within the target market. So we will watch, and you've done this and I've done this, but there's one thing that Dave's never done is watch a wrestling show, and while the wrestling show is on, because you didn't like what you were watching, change the channel, watch something else. Okay, we've done that, so we have a reference point of the programming that we'll watch instead of wrestling. There's something interests us, and we basically have agreed just the main two things that have drawn us away from wrestling have been NBA and NHL playoff games and Monday Night Football. That's literally and if you look at the history of wrestling, those two periods of time are when they take a chunk out of the wrestling. You could look at every single show as the numbers down and say, well, that's because this happened, but that's not true because the shows that basically I watch instead of wrestling are the ones that hurt the wrestling ratings. And I think the same thing happens with you too. So I'm not a fan of the Olympics anymore, and I don't think a lot of people are. Like, the Olympics used to be a bigger deal back in the day, but I just
I think that for sure the girls basketball team will do good, track and field will do good, the men's basketball team. There's a couple of things I think will do good. But you know what does good? Yeah. But you know what does good numbers in wrestling? Yeah.
Women watching television increases drastically during the Olympics.
Right.
Like, women watch the women's gymnastics. Women watch the women's soccer team. Women watch the popular women's sports.
Right.
Like, even during the Winter Olympics, figure skating does great numbers, like stuff that we wouldn't watch. But this does great numbers. All the women are watching that, right?
Women's beach volleyball. Nothing.
Right, yeah, because the girls are hot.
Right.
All right. So I don't know if it's right now the show last night had literally zero competition. They think that Joe Biden. They think Joe Biden, but that was at 11 minutes.
Right.
That was at 11 minutes.
Okay, how many? Let me ask you a question. Just 2 questions, Joe, real quick. How many viewers for Joe Biden's speech?
Look that up.
If you can put up.
No. Wait. Let's wait till we get to Dynamite. We're doing the Raw review right now.
My bad.
I have it.
No. We'll wait.
We'll wait because Disco gets out of whack here.
Yeah.
God forbid we do something out of.
Okay. So this was a good opening segment on Raw because Gunther comes out, who has been from where he started to where he is now. I don't think you can find anybody in professional wrestling that's improved as much on the mic as Gunther has.
Everything.
Would you agree with that?
Everything too. How about the shape he got in?
The shape he got in is just, I mean, bro, he was getting really good heat for this promo.
Yeah.
But where were they at, Joe? Where was the show at? I think they were in a good town for wrestling because the crowd was pretty hot. So basically, he's burying the Judgment Day. He said
burying the fans.
Said, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you who you are." He buried the Judgment Day. He called them street trash.
Right.
It's just, bro. He just went in on them, right? So Priest finally comes out, and I thought this was a good spot. Instead of just having a verbal confrontation, he was like, "Get ready to talk." He just threw the mic, and they just started brawling. Good brawl.
Right.
Like they were throwing. They weren't.
Yeah, it didn't look like an AEW brawl, and that's
right.
And not trying to be a hater. It is what it is.
They had a good brawl. The crowd was with it. Because they opened up, he's a good heel promo. They fought.
They
opened up hot, and they fought. So then they go to commercial. They come back.
Green Bay Disco, just to slide that in.
Oh, Green Bay. That's a good town. So they come back, and Jackie Redmond's in the back, and they want to get over with Gunther. This is actually a good shot because they show Gunther just like getting ready to like walk around for the thing, and then Priest comes out of nowhere, and they start fighting again in the back. So that was a good
great way
start to the show. Yeah,
great way to open up the show. People were hot. It made Priest come off, and the people kind of accepted him as a babyface. So that's working. Okay, and Cole and McAfee did a really good job of just adding to the whole intensity of the brawl.
Right.
He's getting a documentary soon too, Damian Priest. Now, I haven't been contacted yet about maybe commenting, but I mean
about the pictures you took of him.
I thought Priest was supposed to come on our show.
You were like huh?
Didn't you have discussion with Priest about coming on our show?
Yeah, he's all good. It's the WWE PR and whatnot that is
Why should we have issues with WWP PR?
It's not
like we are literally we put them over so much that fans call us shills.
Right.
And I don't think it's not an issue. Yeah, I think it's who the Joe Feeney probably. You know what I mean?
Well, just tell him it's Konnan.
What's the show? K100. Like they haven't heard of it.
Right.
How about you got to wait?
Somebody had to have heard of it. Come on.
He gave me a direct contact, and that person did not respond. I tried 2-3 times.
Has WWE given you a press pass?
Yeah, WrestleMania.
Right. Okay, so why is it difficult for this? So they do know Joe Feeney, so why it should be difficult to get talent?
Maybe the woman.
Joe, do this. Call WPR. Call WPR. Okay, and you tell them. We've taught them Konnan during the Hall of Fame weekend. Taught the Priest. Can we get Priest on the show? All right,
100%. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, because I've never spoken with the guy, and I think he'd be a good conversation. He's a huge. This would be perfect because he's a huge Yankee fan too, Konnan.
Oh,
he did a drop for us when I first started on the show, and I just used my minimal connections to get some drops for the show. He did a drop as Punisher Martinez, and he actually wished for Disco's physical demise. I believe.
Did he really?
Like off.
Yeah. Well, if he comes on the show, he'll have to
find it. It's an old one, but I'll find it and play it for you.
We'll have to make him a conditional apology on that to appear on the show. All right, so we did Braun Breaker against Ilya Dragunov. Jason Powell makes a good point about this. Okay, and this is a loophole in the booking.
Not me. Someone's got something playing, maybe.
Yeah, when you open Jason Powell's page.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, so next.
What point does it?
Here's the point. Okay, for the next segment. Okay. So they're going to be a number one contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship, Breaker versus Dragunov. Powell's POV. So Drew McIntyre is suspended for putting his hands on referees and refusing to apologize. But Breaker ignored Adam Pearce's order to leave the building last week and has been rewarded with a chance to earn a title shot.
That's a very good point.
It is a good point, unless you want to start telling the story that Breaker is just bullying Adam Pearce into making these decisions, and a wrestler should bring that up to Adam Pearce, like Sami Zayn in a conversation. Why are you letting Breaker bully you into these decisions?
Right. Yeah.
He should ask him that point blank because that's what's happening. Right. Good match. They're pushing They're giving Dragunov some time. He goes toe to toe with this guy, which is kind of weird because I don't know.
I think what they're doing here. I think what they're doing here if we're like booking right is like Breaker's the one that's really over right now. We have a lot of faith in Dragunov, and we want to push him in the future, so we're going to protect him. So that's what it feels like to me. You there?
And look at the numbers here for the first segment. Yeah, the numbers. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you keep, for some reason, you keep cutting out.
It's one of those days.
But I thought, first of all, as usual, as expected, this was super physical. They have really good chemistry together. Breaker has a lot of charisma. People are starting to get with Dragunov because he's that guy that never gives up. And I thought that spear when he jumped off the apron was tremendous. And I also thought the finish on the apron was tremendous.
So basically, Breaker wins by ref finish because he speared him when he dove on him on the outside and speared him into the side of the ring.
That was great.
So Rhea Ripley spoke with the Judgment Day people, and Dom pulled her aside and said he was concerned that she wrote "yeet" in response to Jey Russo wanting her number. And Ripley said she was just messing around, just like you were messing around with Liv. And Balor told Dom that he needs to take care of Jey once and for all. And Ripley said Jey doesn't matter. Balor asked Ripley if Ripley was defending Jey. And Ripley said she wasn't defending anyone, but she didn't see the point of starting a war with Jey. And Ripley told Dom to use his brain and then left the room. And then Balor told Dom that he knew what he had to do. Somebody wrote that this looks like Balor. If you look at the breadcrumbs here, he's the one that's kind of like instigating everything here. So that's interesting. I'm going to follow that. Drew was shown backstage with the referees, and Mac and Pierce shook hands.
That was fun.
Xavier had a birthday cake for his Tozawa, and Otis and Maxine stood by. They ate the cake. Great. What a great vignette. So then a very exciting segment. Lyra Valkyria, who's out there with Caden Carter and Katana Chance, against Sonya Deville, who's with Zoe Stark.
I would want you, if you can, rename Caden and the other girls to Cricket and Tumbleweed.
Cricket and Tumbleweeds. Because they don't really do much. It's just like they're just there. They don't speak. Like,
and the people are silent when they're out there, like Tumbleweed. Boom. Boom.
Deville, now this Valkyria girl is actually not a bad worker, but she's undersized.
Right. Like a lot of their girls.
And Deville is a very good worker.
Yes.
And like this was very evident in this match. And Deville hit her finish called the Advocate, and won the match.
Bro, I've been a big fan of her since, remember when she was on SmackDown, she slept out of the Brandy Rose or whatever her name was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what the thing is, like,
she was great as a GM.
Here's an issue with these girls, okay? Is that you know, a lot of the girls are just physically, you know, bigger than the other girls. You know, period. I mean, it's not you can't like unsee that. And the ones that are bigger than the other girls are actually pretty good workers too. But the undersized girls like Liv has a lot of personality and is good on the mic. If these smaller girls don't really show a lot of personality or good on the mic, they just don't really fit in here. You know, they're just like.
Also, remember, there was a time where I was bearing Liv for the same thing. One of them might get better. But one of the problems I have with, I would say, almost all the undersized girl is they're not physical enough for you to believe in them beating anybody bigger than them. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big deal.
Right. So Nikki Cross had a segment with the little videotape with Howdy Doody.
Let me just say something about this.
Let me tell you what she said.
Okay.
She said, look at yourself. They lied to you. They ignore you. They watch you suffer. Howdy said, here's been the answer all along. And Cross screamed after Howdy said, look at yourself again. Then Adam Cole said, what was that? So go ahead.
Maybe I'm overdoing it here, being over analytical, but I just thought for a WWE video, this almost felt like one of AEW's old videos, like when they do 15 seconds that mean and accomplishes nothing. What do you think of that comment? Am I overdoing it? Am I overanalyzing it?
Repeat that again.
That it looked like the old AEW videos,
right?
You know, when they would be like 15 seconds that meant and accomplished nothing.
Right. You're absolutely right on that. But we've repeated that every week, so nothing's really changed. Punk comes out. He said his shoes are pink, and he said he wanted to stain them both with the blood of a Scottish psychopath. And I saw my surgeon and I've been cleared. He called for McIntyre to come get the beating he deserves, and McIntyre came out and walked toward the ring. Said there was nothing stopping him from getting the ring and tearing him apart, except the fact that I don't want to, McIntyre said. And Punk said, I do. Then Punk left the ring and tried to get at McIntyre, but was intercepted by security, referees, and producers. McIntyre told him to relax. He said they were a big money match, and McIntyre taunted Punk with the bracelet he took from him. Pierce came out and told Punk there's the reason they are not fighting tonight. Pierce said McIntyre's suspension was lifted. Punk is medically cleared, and their match is official for SummerSlam. He said the match would be off if either one lays a finger on each other. And Pierce said he had a big problem. I got a big referee problem. Then Seth comes out. Rollins shook hands with Pierce and entered the ring and stood at ringside and stared at Punk. Stood at ringside and stared at Rollins. Rollins said McIntyre and Punk hate one another, and all the chaos that caused her last year has scared anyone from getting in between them. Rollins said he's not a problem guy, he's a solution guy. He said he knows a guy who thrives on chaos, would like to put both men in their places, and he'll be the guest referee at SummerSlam. Punk climbed on the apron while the producers held his legs, and McIntyre entered the ring while Rollins danced and laughed. What did you think of this?
Am I being over analytical again? I just felt like, didn't we just had a pull apart in the first segment? Why are we kind of doing this again, or no?
It works here, I think, but I'm not. I don't know. At least they're doing it.
I'm not saying it didn't work. I'm just saying that usually I don't like to do something like that twice.
Well, you need to have security out there with these characters all out there because it makes sense because they're trying to get at each other. You know, it's not that it didn't make sense, but it's just like you're right. The visual of having it in 2 segments in the first hour is not the best. You're right.
And the people were really, really into this segment. I think might have been the highest segment besides the Liv and Dom thing. And bringing in Rollins as the guest referee, it reminds me a little bit. And I actually saw this match either the day it happened or the day after. because it was like when we were in WCW. Remember when they had Brett versus Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as the ref?
SummerSlam 97. God, I should not know that.
Yep. I don't
know. Great match, great angle. Yeah, man.
All right. So backstage, Dom and McDonough and Carlito were searching for Uso. Carlito said they should divide and conquer. McDonough and Carlito went one way, and Balor told Dom he would check another way, and then send him to another area where Liv Morgan was, which is my thing of like Balor is.
Okay, so somebody put this on Twitter, and this is part of your breadcrumbs. Somebody actually said this, and I was like, "Yeah, this guy's right." He goes that what's this guy's name?
Balor.
Balor sent him in the direction where Liv was.
Right. Dom said she can't. Liv is there. Dom said she can't keep doing this. Dom asked what she was doing, and Morgan said she knows how Ripley's making Dom feel, and Dom said they are perfect. Balor showed up, and then Morgan made her exit. Then Xavier Woods. So this is kind of interesting, like the way they layer this stuff out. Xavier Woods and Tozawa then made their entrance for the match against the what's their group called here? Final Testament, and they had a lot of stuff in between that before they actually had the match. So they had they make their entrance, and the next thing you know is they go to where am I at here? I'm out of my phone with this. So Zayn said Braun Breaker earned his title shot, and he said he's not worried about, but he's taking Breaker seriously. Zayn advised Breaker to do the same by taking him seriously. Then Zayn heard some commotion and left the interview set, and then Zayn stopped JD, McDonough, and Carlito from attacking Jey Uso, and they fought them off. That was actually very clever the way they did that. It's because they're looking for Uso. They found Uso, but while Sami Zayn's doing the interview, here's the thing, and he goes and helps Jey Uso. So I was like, yeah, that was good writing like that. They're doing good writing, like right. for as a TV
every
show.
Week.
Yeah. So the Testament fights against Woods and Tozawa, and what's his name? Otis. Otis hit the Caterpillar Nakam, who rolled out of the ring, and Cross hit Otis, which led to Woods tagging into working over Cross with punches. Then Woods turned his attention to clearing the AOP members off the apron. Then Cross hit Woods. Cross hit Woods was the final prayer and pinned him, so Kevin went over on that. So after the match, Chad and the Creeds come out dressed as suits. Then Gable and the Creed stood in the ring across from Otis, Tozawa, and Dupree, and Gable said Otis taking on a leadership role was a choice. He told his former Alpha Academy members to rejoin the team and said they would have extra protection from the Wyatt Six. Otis said when things got dangerous, Gable fled, and Otis said that's the kind of man that Gable is. My answer is still no. Crowd cheered. Gable, let me just show my computer. Every time I touch my phone, the page disappears.
While we have a second here, the Damian Priest drop was so long ago that I don't have anything from 2017 in my email. It kept running out of space, and I deleted a lot of stuff. But I just have to go through old shows and find it, so I will have it. What I did find, which one is really not that entertaining. It's one of my first interviews I did was with Priest, and I sent around to the Observer, stuff like that. If you want to take a look at it, I did forward it, but I also found much for Konnan's enjoyment and Disco's only to make fun of is a angle idea I submitted to Danny Cage's The Monster Factory that involved Priest 10 years ago. So that could be something funny to take a look at and poke fun at some point.
Probably crickets, tumbleweed. So the Gable. So my answer is still no. Otis said to the cheers. Then Gable said it was pathetic, and asked if Tozawa and Dupree were going to let this clown speak for them. They said, yes, we are. Then Gable said it was unfortunate. So the Creeds attacked him, Otis and Tozawa, and Otis put the Creeds down with a double clothesline and grabbed Gable and picked him up for a slam, but the Creeds hit him from behind. Then Gable and the Creeds put the boots to Otis, and the Creeds ran Otis through the ropes and into the ring post. The Creeds went to ringside and ran Otis in the apron. They're about to use chairs, but they stopped once they heard the music. Then the Wyatt Six lighting wind down occurred, and the single piano music played, the single key piano music. And four of the Wyatt Six appeared on the stage, and Uncle Howdy showed up inside the ring and performed Sister Abigail and Gabe. So, what did you think of that?
Well, I didn't know this until I heard it on one of the commentators say it, because Otis, when he finally did the worm, the people really exploded because if you remember, Gable wouldn't let him do it. Remember when he was with him? And yeah. I didn't know this, but he's from Nebraska. So I thought you just talked about the Wyatt Six going into the ring, right?
Right.
I thought him doing the Sister Abigail was a nice touch. You also talked about Cross, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think of that match?
I mean, it's expected finish. They're just selling the deal that Woods is, I don't know.
Well, it looks like the Wyatt Six are gonna go against Gable and the Creed brothers. Yeah.
Right.
I think Cross looked better than usual, but this storyline, for whatever reason, is not clicking with me. What a shame! Is it clicking with you?
Hello? I know you're asking Disco. He's looking at something. It is with me, but I just find ever since Disco showed me the first Cross promo, I think it was against Little Guido, I've pretty much found 99% of what he does interesting, and this still works for me. He's the way he speaks, carries himself, no matter what the material is, because it's Kevin.
That's besides the point. Is this feud clicking with you? Because I just think that, first of all, and correct me, am I wrong? Huh?
I wish they'd pull the trigger. I want to know what's going to happen. Like, okay, let's get to it, kind of thing.
Well, first of all, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong here, he loses a lot, right? Or no? More than he should?
More than he should.
Well, he's a completely different character in NXT. Never lost. He was a champion.
Yeah, but still, I think he loses too much for somebody that you're trying to push. And we don't know why they're together, who the final testament is. I mean, you could not, with all the great video package that you've done, you couldn't produce a video package, 30 seconds explaining how they got together, why they are together, or something about them. This is uncreative. This is not on Scarlett or him. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to deliver anything you give them.
Wow. You're right on target with that, Konnan. In 2023, Cross, and we're going to do some AEW style statistics here, lost 31 out of 41 matches. And this year he's lost 7 of 10. So
yes, he went from a 99% winning percentage to a 30% winning percentage.
Absolutely.
So Bronson Reed and Pete Dunne are supposed to wrestle, but Sheamus comes in before the match starts and beats up Dunne. Dunne runs away and then turns around and beats a brogue kick to Reed. So then inside the Judgment Day clubhouse, Rhea asked Balor, Dom, and the weird McDonough and Carlito what happened. Balor said he's had enough of being disrespected and said he and McDonough would take care of Sami Zayn and Uso. Then Balor took issue with Gunther referring to them as a joke and said he was laughing when they meet next week. Then Ripley recalled saying that no one could touch Jey Uso, and Ripley grabbed Dom by the arm. And Dom asked where they were going, and she said they're going to the ring. So she's dragging him out to the ring.
Wait. It wasn't there a part here where she was asking something about Liv, and Carlito goes, why don't you ask Liv?
Right.
It's a huge pop for me.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah. There was a head exchange, right. So she, because
they didn't write it there? They didn't write it in the transcript?
Not in this, no.
Okay.
Well, it was
a good line. It's what got her mad, so they will go to the ring, and it was Carlito again, they do every week. They always give him a funny line.
Right. So backstage, Jackie Redmond asked Sheamus what was happening between him and Dunn, and Sheamus said he was still scratching his head. He said their issues could be easily fixed over a pint, or they could take to the ring and find out who the real bruiserweight is. He says, "Are you up for a banger?" Sheamus said, so they're going to have a banger, I think. The Rhea comes out with Dom. She says, "Liv, you want him? Come get him." Liv's music played, but she didn't come to the ring. She was up in the aisle, the portal, and one of the aisles at the top of an aisle in the stands. Morgan says he has self-control, and like Ripley, therefore not go to the ring, and says just you wait until SummerSlam. She said she has feelings for Dom, and they can't deny that he also has feelings. And Morgan said boys like Dom go for girls like her, and she turned around and showed her that broke the internet, got tons of views because she had Daisy Dukes on, hanging out Sky Blue used to do.
Yeah, I had non-wrestling fans sending me that, going, "Who's this girl?"
So Morgan said boys like Dom go for girls who look like her, not Ripley. So Ripley tried to leave the ring to go after Morgan. Then Dom grabbed Ripley by the arm and held her. And Ripley got upset and asked Dom what he wanted. Dom said let him take care of it. Morgan asked the fans to let Dom talk. And she said she thought she knew what Dom was going to say, and she feels the same way. Morgan said Dom could finally say those 3 little words, and Dom says, "I hate you, Liv." He said he doesn't like Morgan. She's ruined his life, and he's speaking in Spanish and English, going back and forth because he's really here. Ripley was all smiles. Ripley licked Dom's face, and Morgan turned around and started crying, and she left. So that was kind of an interesting plot twist because it made Morgan look like the baby face almost. What did you think of this, Konnan?
Somebody put on social media that it would be interesting to hear what he said in Spanish, and if Damien was in the building, if he could have called, he could have said, "Hey, this is not true." and I can guarantee you in English he just insulted her.
That's
so
all he did.
He wasn't. He wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Saying something else in Spanish. And the other thing,
I got it right here.
The translation.
Here's the other thing that what I like. I like all the what ifs. Is Finn swerving everyone? Is Dom swerving everyone? Is Liv going to go more crazy? I mean, like, there's a lot of what ifs here that I like.
All right. So in summation of this next segment, they're doing a thing called #PushZelina.
Right.
So Zelina Vega comes out. She's injured. She says, "It won't keep me down." Basically, she's going to wrestle Zoe Stark. And because they're trying to push Zelina and the hashtag, so DeVille distracted the ref and Baszler tripped Vega. Then Caden Carter and Katana Chance were down, fought DeVille and Baszler. The Vega hit Stark with the padded elbow area of her brace and then hit Code Red and scored the win. So Zelina Vega goes over because the hashtag push Zelina gimmick is the thing now. So what do you think of this?
Okay, so tell me again if I'm being over analytical, okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I had to roll my eyes because as much as we hate the guys going into the ring, like one guy, the babyface against 3 heels or 4 heels, right? Why would she go out there if she has her arm injured? Why would anybody fight anybody with a cast? Why would they clear her? Why would she even risk injury? They worked on her arm. Like if it was really injured, she wouldn't have even been able to lift it up, but still she was able to hit him at the end with the cast. Am I being too over analytical and I should just suspend disbelief more?
No, they're trying to push a gimmick it's too unrealistic to buy, basically. Right. So back.
Okay, so here's the translation from what Dom said. Okay,
well, he just buried her, bro. It's the same thing he was saying.
I want to hear it though, because I don't speak
Spanish.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so he said, "Do you not understand what I'm telling you? I can't understand what goes on in your head. Are you a ass or what? I hate you with all of my life."
So backstage, Xavier Woods told Adam Pearce he needs to face Karrion Kross next week. Pearce asked if he's sure, and then he booked it that way. Woods thanked him. Drew showed up and said that was unhappy that Pearce didn't tell him that Seth would be the special referee. Pearce informed McIntyre that he and Punk would be in the ring with Rollins next week, and Rollins gives them both the official referee instructions. After Pearce left, McIntyre wondered what that meant. That was actually pretty funny, I thought. Official referee instructions is like whatever. I don't know. That's a kind of funny segment to book. Show. Okay, so next was Ben and McDonough were in the Judgment Day clubhouse getting ready for their match. Oh, the Women's Tag Team Champions got a promo, and they spoke about appearing on SmackDown to respond to the challenge made by champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Does that make you interested to see them to see what happens on SmackDown when they respond to the challenge?
No, absolutely not.
So then Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler showed up, and Deville said Belair and Cargill not the biggest issue facing Dawn and Fire. They are. Then they had a Gunther video package. This was a good one again. He praised Rollins, yet said being champion drove him into the ground. He said McIntyre's obsession with Punk will cost him. Then Gunther spoke about how the cracks were showing with current champion Priest. Gunther said he's the only one who can redefine the prestige of championship. So they showed Sami Zayn and Jey Uso walking through the concourse for their match, for their entrance. It's actually a pretty good visual. So they wrestle the Judgment Day, and a good finishing sequence. The champions placed Jay on the top turnbuckle. Zayn tossed Balor to the floor. Jay headbutted McDonough, and Zayn blasted McDonough with a haluva kick in the corner, and then performed a flip dive on the Balor on the floor. Then Jey Uso hit a splash at McDonough and got the 3 count. Crowd popped big on the finish. Very well done. But after the match, Braun Breaker speared Zayn. Breaker made a quick exit, smiled on the floor while Jay glared at him. It's interesting. What would you think about this finish?
I liked it, and they always do. They always put their matches really good together, especially main event, especially when it involves like Zayn and Uso and those guys that have been in so many good main events. Right. And, Finn Balor's as good as it gets in the ring, and so's McDonough, very underrated. So you had great workers in there. I mean, they don't really have any bad workers anymore,
Right. And plus what they do is they're because the gist of their show is storyline oriented. Like it's a soap opera, and the matches are basically a backdrop to just forward a storyline. All the finishes are laid out very simplistically and very easy to follow, and very easy to deliver good pops. Like right. It's not when you watch an AEW show, just constantly throughout the show, this is what you hear: 1, 2, oh, 1, 2, oh. It's like you hear it 60 times in a show. They're just constantly doing. Here they don't do that many of them, and they hit like big moves finish the match. You know, like a lot of the basic moves are the match is over. So it's like, because you don't have to be complicated.
It's almost like AEW in a way is indie style.
It is. And this is the problem. It's like when you're into that, if you think the match is that important, they make the matches way too busy. There's way too much stuff going on. There's every match is somebody trying to have a 4 to 5 star match, but really, if you're in a storyline, you don't have to do a lot out there. You just have to work a match and progress the story with the finish and hit the finish correctly and dramatically to build the pop.
I almost think that the indie style, which it isn't so much about TV because it's not being filmed for TV.
Right.
It's about usually having a good match is the number one goal, right?
Right.
But then when you're on TV, you're on a TV show where really the number one goal is getting your character over and having a connect. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the match itself. And I think AEW does that in reverse. They still have the indie mentality, and their fan base likes that.
Yeah. So we can actually talk about that when we're coming up. We do Raw, but this was actually good. The Dom Live stuff was excellent on the show.
Yeah.
I thought the Judgment Day is basically the focal point of the show, and like a lot of storylines intertwine go run through them, and it's good TV.
And it's been great, and we got a lot of what ifs, just like the Bloodline. What if Roman returns? Who's he going to return with? What's going to happen? Same thing with these guys. Is Rhea swerving him? Is Finn behind it?
Because like realistically, you've got the Gable stuff. You've got the Drew Punk Rollins stuff. Mm-hmm. Punk and Gunther is good TV. You're doing a little something with Sheamus and Dunn, but
you're doing something with the Six and Gable.
Right. The Gable stuff, right? So, but there's two holes on the show, and that's like these underneath female characters you got, like Lady Valkyrie,
that aren't interesting, and you don't write anything interesting for them.
And the AOP Woods angle needs to go. They need to invigorate it more. It's dragging on. Like it's a long storyline, but it's just not right.
And here's the worst part, bro. All these girls like Valkyria and Tumbleweed and her sister Cricket and all these other girls. It isn't like if you're watching Tiffany Stratton that you're like, why aren't they using this girl? Why aren't they doing anything better with her? Because she has so much, X factor. Like none of these girls have it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right. So that's been our Raw review.
Boom.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.